We've had, by most accounts here, law enforcement and members of the Muslim community and the general public, a good relationship in this area, Southeast Texas, between the Muslim community and the general public and law enforcement. They acknowledge that, Muslim leaders as well as law enforcement, federal agents. Given the tension in many communities in the U.S., what's your assessment of the relationship here in Southeast Texas between those groups?
Well, I'm grateful for that relationship, and I've born and raised down in the Jefferson County, Southeast Texas area, and just haven't heard of any problem. However, that's not the case around the country. As we know, we've seen several attacks on our service people from radicalized, homegrown jihadis and radicalized Muslims, and that's a great concern to me. We've had a number of refugee programs. In fact, one which has brought in excess of 438,000 refugees, many of which have come from Syria and other areas in the Middle East and are Muslims. And Texas has absorbed 46,000 of these. And when you look at some of the problems that Europe is having with some of the radicalization of Islamic folks that have come in there, that's a worry. And I worry about some of these ISIS people exploiting these programs and using that as a vehicle to get inside of our country and harm American citizens. And this is one of our greatest missions up here in Washington, is to provide for the security and safety of the American people and national defense. And when you get right down to it, it relates to the immigration problem. We've got a lot of folks that are coming in across our unsecured borders that actually have no intention of finding work, but every intention of having a criminal career or terrorist activities.
Do you think there should be increased monitoring of certain members of the Muslim community in the United States if they've been identified as risks? Do you think we're doing enough, or are we lagging in that area?
Well, I think it goes without saying that we saw what happened at our recruiting station the other day. Obviously, these two individuals were not on that radar, so I can always say that we need to do a better job.
Okay. Gang violence and crime continue to be a problem locally. We've had an increase this year in crimes, murders, homicides, assaults. The DA's office in Jeff County, Bob Wortham, they're really ratcheting up their efforts to fight gangs in Port Arthur, Beaumont, all sorts of gangs. Do you think enough's being done? Is the government doing enough locally, nationally? Should the government be involved, or is that a local issue that needs to be dealt with?
Well, the federal government provides many resources for law enforcement agencies on the county, state, and local level. But quite frankly, this is going to be something that the folks at the county and state and local level need to do. I don't believe that the federal government has a role to play other than providing some resources, unless it's a completely national problem. And this sounds like, of course, I told you a while ago, I'm from that area. Don't ever remember having a whole bunch of gang problems back in those days, but obviously that's a problem today. And I think that community leaders, law enforcement, elected officials are going to have to get together and address that problem on a block by block, church by church, city by city, neighborhood by neighborhood basis. That's a problem around the country.
Another local issue, unemployment. We've done a lot to improve the economy here, diversify, but we still have had the third highest jobless rate for a long, long time in Texas. Are we doing enough? Does the government have a role in bringing in jobs? Are our local leaders doing enough? What needs to be done more so to improve the economy here?
Texas, I'm proud to say, has been the leader in job creation in this country for the last 5 or 6 years. In fact, Texas has provided over 50% of the jobs in this nation. And I think the jobs are there. I think it's going to be up to, we just need to connect the job seekers and that job, the folks that are looking for jobs with the job creators. And workforce training is a big, big issue. The jobs are there. We're seeing folks coming in from all over the country fill the jobs and the jobs that are available. And when I travel around the district, I hear from industry that they have a hard time finding properly trained job force. And so this is why I think it's so important for us to have vocational schools, LIT, Lamar, our high schools, anybody that can train folks to do these jobs, because they're high-paying jobs. You don't need a college education in many respects, and those jobs are there. We just need to connect the dots there, connect these two groups, because I see folks that are coming in from out of the area that are finding these jobs, and we need to just get these two matched up.
We're in the middle of hurricane season. Many in our area continue to push for the rebuilding of Highway 87 between Sabine Pass and High Island. Is that realistic? Is money going to be available? How critical is the rebuilding, do you see?
You know, as I said, I'm a native of that area. I remember when that highway was in place and it was rebuilt several times only to be washed away in subsequent hurricanes. You know, it boils down to, do we have the funding to build something like that back? And we've got a lot of priorities in transportation. Texas is being hurt because it's one of the states that actually sends in more money than it gets back from the federal government for its transportation needs. And we've got a lot of transportation and infrastructure needs. Dredging is a huge issue for all the ports that we have. We have the Port of Beaumont, Port of Orange, Port of Port Arthur, I represent the Port of Houston. And do we have the monies and funds to rebuild that section of Highway 87? That's something we're going to have to prioritize. And quite frankly, it's going to have to be a decision made at the state level and the local level. I know that's a great highway when it comes to hurricane evacuation, but is it something that we can afford to do right now? And right now, I serve on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, which is so important to our area, and we're trying to come up with a long-term highway funding bill, and trying to find the funds is a very difficult situation. So there again, we have to prioritize these projects that we really want.
Okay, anything else to add? Anything you want to tell the constituents that you feel is important that I haven't asked you?
You know, Scott, it's been a great, I've enjoyed talking to you. It's always nice to visit with the folks back home. And quite frankly, I'm very proud, I'm honored and privileged to have been chosen by the people of the 36th District. It's about 700,000 people. And we have one of the most prosperous and energetic and vibrant districts and diverse districts in the country, not just Texas. We have more petrochemical refining facilities than any other district in the country. We have huge expansion projects going on. Many of these big companies and refining companies and chemical installations and facilities are having expansion projects right now, billions with a B, billions of dollars worth of expansion. So I see good things going on in Southeast Texas. I'm very proud to be representing that area. Do we have problems? Yeah, we have problems, but I'm very optimistic. As I've said, you know, we've got to get a handle on our border security. One of the big things that we're looking at right now is this deal with the Iranians, which I'm very, very concerned about. The Iranian deal that the President, the administration, and Secretary of State John Kerry have signed, I believe is a bad deal. And I had the privilege of listening to Prime Minister Netanyahu at the joint session of Congress a few months ago, and he said, no deal is better than a bad deal. And when I look at this deal, I see a nuclear-armed Iran coming soon, within the next 10 years, if they comply with all of the aspects of this deal, they will have nuclear arms. If they don't comply, they'll have them even sooner. And so I plan to reject this. I'm going to vote against it. I hope that we can override a veto when the president vetoes it, because I see a grave risk being posed for millions and millions of people around the world with a nuclear-armed Iran who is going to be the big player in that region of the world. And I see a nuclear arms race coming out of this, and the potential risk to so many of us in the United States and around the world. I think there's no way for me to vote on this except to vote it down. And I just hope that we have enough Democrats that will come and vote with us after the president vetoes it, which he surely will, to override his veto and to kill this deal.
Congressman, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day. We appreciate your stopping by our Sinclair Post. It's a wonderful new program they've created, and it'll allow us to stay in touch with you and the representatives from Texas. So we appreciate you stopping by and look forward to talking to you again often in the future.
Scott, thank you so much. This is a really good deal, and I hope to be talking to you a lot more frequently and with the folks back home.
Thank you, Congressman. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.